Shalom, family. I pray all is well with you today on April 14th, 2025. This word is coming from Proverbs chapter 3, verse 30, and then we're going to go over to 1 Peter 3, 8 through 13, and also verse 17. Thus says the word of Elohim, Yahuah, Elohim. Strive not with a man without cause, if he has done you no wrong. Okay, you see that? Strive not with a man without cause, if he has done you no harm. So as I was reading, actually, this came to mind as I was reading 1 Peter chapter 3, which we're going to go to after this. And the Most High was still talking to me about the Karmelo, Anthony, and Austin and Hunter Metcalf situation. Because as you know, the Most High is always, in every circumstance and situation, bring you back to his word concerning the matter. So, this is wisdom. Strive not with a man without cause, if he has done you no harm. You don't let the devil talk you into going over to someone and putting your hands on them to tell them to move from under your school's tent when it was raining outside and everyone was trying to get underneath something to get out of the way of the rain during the track meet of the incident between Austin and Hunter Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony. So the burden of the situation falls on the twins, because the devil started with them first. They were the ones that went over to Karmelo Anthony. Okay? Austin and Hunter Metcalf, listening to the lies of Satan, Hashatan, Diabolo, they were the ones that strived with Karmelo without cause, whom Karmelo had done them no harm. They went over to him. It's raining outside, not just raining, storming outside, to the point that people were running to their cars if they had cars to run to get out of the way of the storm until the storm, lighten up or pass by, then they can come back to the track. Others, like Karmelo, whom they allegedly claim, says that he actually had a friend, somebody that he knew, that corroborated that they knew him, and that's the reason why he was sitting underneath the other school's tent. But common courtesy, why doesn't common courtesy come into play when you know that it's raining outside and everybody's trying to get underneath the tent or either run to their car? But in this case, Karmelo knew somebody from the other school, so you can assume that he was sitting under the tent for that reason as well, outside of just getting under the first tent that he saw once the downpour of that heavy rain was coming down, because I actually was off from work that day. So it was a really bad storm with high winds. So when you are a person who are allowing Satan to cause you to strive with a man without a cause, you don't have no common courtesy, which is a heart thing. And this is where how he ended up dying, was he got stabbed in the heart. It's a hard thing when you don't have love and you don't have common courtesy, and you're going over to strive with a man without a cause and put your hands on them. And in this person, Karmelo Anthony, did no harm to the twins before they came over to him to strive with him and put their hands on him. Okay? Everything goes back to the word. So now we're going to go over to 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 8 through 13 and verse 17. Okay? So here, starting in verse 8 of 1 Peter 3, chapter 8 through 13, it says, Finally, be you all of one mind, having compassion one of another. Okay? The twins, Austin and Hunter, did not show compassion to Karmelo Anthony, who was not bothering them, minding his own business, seeking shelter under another school's tent because it was raining outside, and he also just so happened to know another student from the school whose tent that he was sitting under during the rain that day of the track meet in Frisco, Texas. Finally, be you all of one mind, having compassion one for another. So the twins are guilty of also not having compassion towards Karmelo, who's minding his own business. It's raining, like how they say, cats and dogs outside. And he went under the first available tent, or maybe he was already underneath the tent before the rain started, because he was talking to his friend that he knows from that school of the Warriors tent. Okay? So, video evidence and, witness accounts and stuff, all of that is going to come out if, Karmelo actually has a friend and knows somebody and was maybe talking to that person before the rain started and before the twins came over there to accost him, putting their hands on him, or at least the one twin did, while the other twin was probably bucking up his brother, to do it, because they both came over there. It wasn't like Hunter was stopping Austin from saying and doing what he was doing. He was in agreement with what his brother Austin was doing towards Karmelo, and he did not put a stop to it. Okay? So they were both of the same accord, both of the same mind of not having compassion towards Karmelo. Nor was there love. So I'm going to read it all the way. Finally, be you all of one mind, having compassion one of another, love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous. Where was the love from the twins? Where was the love from Austin and Hunter? Where was the being pitiful towards him? Because they know that it was raining really hard outside. That stopped the track meet, and everybody started running underneath the tents or running to their cars, allegedly. But there wasn't a whole lot of, that stadium does not have covering, and there was only like a few tents that were out there. So you would assume that that's true, that once it started raining really hard, a lot of people ran underneath those tents and ran to their cars. No love towards your brethren, Karmelo Anthony, wasn't pitiful towards him because he was underneath the tent trying to seek shelter from the rain like everybody else, whether he knew somebody or not from the school whose tent that he was sitting underneath. And the twins, Austin and Hunter, were not courteous towards Karmelo, whom they came over to and accost and put their hands, or at least one of the brothers put their hands on Karmelo. Okay? Not rendering evil for evil, or railing for railing, but contrariwise blessing, knowing that you are thereunto called, that you should inherit a blessing. Okay, so now, Karmelo Anthony, not rendering evil for evil. So just because Austin and Hunter Metcalf came over to mess with Karmelo Anthony, doesn't mean that Karmelo Anthony should have pulled out his knife, even though we're in a stand your ground state, even though he warned Austin, put your hands on me again and see what happens. It doesn't mean that Karmelo Anthony, according to the word of Yahuah, Elohim, should have rendered evil for the evil that Austin and Hunter were doing towards him. Okay? Not rendering evil for evil. Now, doesn't mean that it was not going, that it wasn't, fight or flight in Karmelo Anthony's heart and mind. You got two over 6 foot tall, over 200-pound twin brothers that's coming to you. You 5'9" and 135 pounds, or whatever, however much he weighed. Small guy by himself, minding his own business, and you got somebody coming over to you, threatening you, standing over you, putting their hands on you, allegedly snatching your book bag and throwing it, snatching your phone and throwing it to the ground, allegedly. Still doesn't mean that you should render evil for evil. Okay? Not rendering evil for evil. So could Karmelo Anthony have exercised self-control, which is one of the fruits of the Spirit? Yes, absolutely. 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 Karmelo Anthony could have exercised self-control. Even though evil was being done to him, he could have exercised self-control and not render evil back to Austin by stabbing him in the heart, which caused Austin's demise, where he's no longer here on this side of on earth. Or railing for railing. Okay? So Karmelo Anthony didn't have to be going back and forth with Austin and Hunter. He could have walked away. Maybe he was in such fear, he didn't think it would be wise for him to turn his back on 200-pound, over 6 foot tall, white young men who probably in his eyes, he could see the racism and the hatred and the evil towards him. And obviously, as far as have, been put out there so far, like nobody got involved, or as an adult who was around to step in and say, hey, y'all cut that out. Hey, young man, you point at you. Hey, pointing at Karmelo. Hey, you come over here. You come underneath this tent, or you come over by us. Where were the adults in this situation that were right there to put a stop to the situation? Or even other students? Did anybody say anything? Did anybody try to step in or step in, between before Karmelo had an opportunity to even pull out the knife? Who saw him with his hand in his bag? So, not rendering evil for evil or railing for railing, but contrariwise blessing, knowing that you are thereunto called, that you should inherit a blessing. For he that will love life and see good days, let him refrain his tongue from evil and his lips that they speak no guile. Okay, guile means deceit. Okay? So when you walk in love, if he that will love life, evidently Austin did not love life, because the Most High Yah, his family come from a believing household, even though their parents are, divorced, even though the dad was arrested back in 2011 of the Metcalf family, they profess to be believers of the Holy Bible, of the Holy Scriptures of the Most High Yahuah. Okay? Where was the love? If Austin loved life and was listening to the Holy Spirit, ain't no way in the world he and his brother Hunter would have went over to Karmelo to start up nothing and put their hands on Karmelo or anybody else who they thought was not a part of the school and was sitting underneath the tent of their school. For he that will love life and see good days, let him refrain his tongue from evil. So we don't know what all else was said between the back and forth of Austin Metcalf, his brother Hunter Metcalf, and Karmelo Anthony. We don't know all what was said. But refrain your tongue from evil. Let him refrain his tongue from evil and his lips that they speak no guile, no deceit. Verse 11, let him eschew it, which means eschew means avoid, shun, decline, go out of the way. Let him eschew evil and do good. Let him seek peace and ensure it. So this right here, you can say this pertains to Karmelo Anthony. Karmelo Anthony could have avoided and shunned and declined evil, the evil that was coming towards him from Austin and Hunter Metcalf. And then he could have done good by just running away or walking away without turning his back on them, not even responding to them. And he could have sought peace and then ensure it. by walking away and letting them brothers say what they was going to say. But where the problem came in is when Austin put his hands on Karmelo, because Karmelo said, well, I don't have to leave here. I can sit up underneath the tent. Man, it's raining out here. Like, what are you talking about? Why are you like in my face? Get away from me. Or, whatever Karmelo said, it's an argument because you got somebody coming over to you, or, antagonizing you. You get from under our school tent. What you doing underneath that tent? Blah, 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 blah. You know how stuff go before a fight breaks out, or before somebody put their hands on the other person. They be going back and forth in the argument. Let him eschew evil and do good. And this not only pertains to Karmelo Anthony, this pertains to the twins as well. They did not eschew evil because it started with them. They let Satan talk them into going over to Karmelo Anthony to do evil. They didn't do good towards Karmelo Anthony. They weren't seeking peace and then ensured it. Because if anything, if you have a loving heart, they would have went over there and introduced themselves to Karmelo. Hey, man, how you doing? What's up? What you doing? What you running today? You running the 100? You running the 200? Like, what are you? You're a junior? You're a senior? They would have went over there to introduce themselves. If they had the love of the Most High Yahuah in their hearts, they would have went over there to introduce themselves to Karmelo and to make friends. But they did not do that. So they put Karmelo Anthony into a position where he was not able to eschew evil and to do good towards them because he was being verbally and physically attacked. So he automatically just went into fight or flight mode, where he was not even able to think about seeking peace and ensuring it by just walking away or ignoring them, or just, yelling for help or something, or for a coach or the police or whatnot, or a parent or some other students to come over to, to help him. He just went straight into fight or flight mode. Verse 12, for the eyes of Yahuah are over the righteous, and his ears are open unto their prayers. But the face of Yahuah is against them that do evil. So the face of the Most High Yahuah was against Austin. This is why he lost his life. I hope you got spiritual eyes to see this. The Most High Yahuah's face was against them that do evil. They, Austin and Hunter, went over to Karmelo to do evil. And the Most High Yahuah face was against both Hunter and Austin, because they were doing evil. And this is why Yahuah did not protect Austin from being stabbed. You think as a believer that the Most High Yahuah doesn't have the ability to protect you from getting stabbed? Yes, he does. He is all powerful and all knowing. He knows and sees all things. But when you put yourself in a position, and he knows every man's heart, when you put yourself in a position and disobey him and go against love and go against his word, his face is going to be against you because you are going to do evil, which is outside of his word. So his face is going to be against you. And then the enemy is going to be able to cause harm to you. And in this case, take your life. All right. Verse 13. And who is he who will harm you if you are followers of that which is good? Karmelo Anthony would not have been able to harm Austin if Austin would have been doing good. He did not come over to Karmelo Anthony with the heart of doing good towards him. He came over to him with the heart of pride, of envy, of jealousy, of white privilege, of racism, of bullying, of hatred, not love. Ooh, this is some good stuff right here. This is some good material right here. Thank you, Abiyah, to Abiyah. Be all the glory and honor and praise for this. And who is he who will harm you if you are followers of that which is good? If them two twins would have went over to Karmelo to do good to him, nobody's life would have been taken. Karmelo being in fear and afraid for his life and not being able to think, he went from what do you call it? What did I say earlier? Fight or flight. Because he feared for his life. It wouldn't have happened. What happened to Austin would not have happened if those two brothers, who the burden of the whole situation is on them, because they were the ones that went over to Karmelo and one of them put their hands on the young man. And all the other couple of things that they were saying that also happened in the situation outside of the verbal things, other than what we know in terms of the general public that hasn't, been presented in court yet, like, any audio or video and eyewitness, accounts to bring about all that was said and all that was done in this situation. So, and who is he who will harm you if you are followers of that which is good? Can't nobody harm you if you're doing good. If you coming towards somebody with a good heart and good intentions and with love, ain't nobody gonna be able to stab you in your heart and take your life. But when you coming over to somebody to do evil, and you're not seeking peace and ensuring it, then you're going to lose your life. And this is exactly what happened to Austin Metcalf. You're seeing it right here in the word. Unless your wood is wet and you lack comprehension and you just, plain old just clueless and lack understanding and revelation knowledge, it's all right here. Everything pertaining to life and death is in the word of the Most High Yahuah. So verse 14. But and if you suffer for righteousness' sake, happy are you, and be not afraid of their terror, neither be troubled. But that wasn't the case with Karmelo. He was fight or flight. Okay? He was not thinking about, hey, I'm going to suffer and I'm gonna be in the right. I'm not gonna put my hands on anybody. I know I got this knife in my bag. I'm not gonna take this knife out my bag and stab one of these dudes, if not both of them. I'm gonna go ahead and just let them say whatever craziness that they saying to me, and I'm just gonna walk away, or call somebody over here to to help me, or yell for help or whatever. No, he was fight or flight. Okay? Happy are you, and be not afraid of their terror. Well, that wasn't the case. Karmelo Anthony was afraid of the terror of the twins. And he was troubled. Fight or flight. Terror, afraid, and troubled. That's Karmelo Anthony. This is why he did what he did, because he was afraid, he was in terror, and he was troubled. And he couldn't think straight. All he was thinking about was, hey, I'm gonna have to use my weapon to get these boys up off of me, because I can't fight both of these boys. And evidently there was nobody that stepped in. Everybody watching it. You can't tell me all of these so-called eyewitnesses and none of y'all said to the twins like, hey. None of y'all got involved. None of y'all said anything to Karmelo and these two twins. Hey, y'all stop that. Who got up and went over there like, hey, y'all cut that out. Karmelo, hey, you come over here. You come with us. What happened? What happened to y'all? All y'all eyewitnesses. It doesn't mean that, you put yourself in harm's way because you don't know what Karmelo have in his bag, but that still don't mean that you still can't say something to both parties. If you don't even physically go over there, you still could have yelled at all three of them and say, hey, y'all cut that out. And then, have somebody go run and get the police that y'all know that was on duty there at the track meet, or some of the coaches, while you still standing there, trying to help, stop the whole situation that was going on. Okay. So yeah, Karmelo Anthony was afraid. He was in terror, and he was troubled. And I guess he wasn't expecting to come out of that situation unscathed, because one of the brothers had already put their hands on him, okay, on his person. Verse 17, for it is better if the will of Elohim be so that you suffer for well-doing than for evil-doing. Okay? So both Austin and Karmelo both suffered evil. Because they did not do, what was right in the Most High's sight. For it is better if the will of Elohim be so that you suffer for well-doing than for evil. I don't know what's going on with my... Oh, there we go. So Austin lost his life for doing evil, and Karmelo has lost his life as well for doing evil. Austin died physically, and right now Karmelo Anthony is dying mentally. And in terms of how society works, how America works, people are unforgiving in society. That's why there's so much evil and darkness in the earth. So even if Karmelo goes to jail, whether it be for a year with probation, whether it be for 5 years or 10 years, or, however the law works for this situation, even if the young man spends time, even after he goes to jail, if that ends up, being the case, and doing his time, even after he gets out, white America is still going to give him a hard time, because this is America. This is a very racist country. This is a country that enslaved his people, Karmelo's people, his ancestors, for over 400 years. So it's not like that if, he gets time, that even after he gets out, that he will be able to not live this situation down. Even though he was in the right, per se, for defending, himself. He wasn't going to win the fight with his two fists, with his little small self, by himself, against fighting against 400 combined 400 pounds. No. Even in on the streets. Somebody like a Karmelo would have done the same thing. Does it make it right? No. But in this case, there were people that could have stepped in, that could have been yelling at all three of them and telling them, hey, y'all cut that out. Have somebody go run over. Hey, you go over and go get coach so-and-so. Hey, you run over and go, grab the police, real quick while I, try to help stop this situation. For it is better if the will of Elohim be so that you suffer for well-doing than for evil-doing. So Austin suffered for evil-doing by putting his hands on Karmelo Anthony, for going over to Karmelo Anthony and not showing love and courteousness. He went over with evil intent in his heart. And how ironic, that's how he died, by getting stabbed in the heart. Everything is a heart matter. It's more of a spiritual thing when the Most High is talking about the heart of the heart. Love the Most High, Yahuah, with all your heart, soul, mind, body, and strength, and love thy neighbor as yourself. The twins did not love their neighbor, who was Karmelo Anthony. This is why they went over towards him to give him problems. And to be mean to Karmelo Anthony. Otherwise, they wouldn't have went over there. If they had good in their hearts, they would have went over there. Like I mentioned, they would have went over to Karmelo Anthony and say, "Hey, bro, what's up? What's going on? How you doing? My name is Austin, and this is my twin brother, Hunter. Like, put his hand out, shake the boy hand. Like, what's going on? It's raining out here real hard, right?" And sit down and talk to him like, somebody over here, at our school. Like, what you running? But that wasn't the case. And that's why this situation is going on. The burden lies on the twins. They started it. And Karmelo Anthony, unfortunately, finished it. Because evil was in play in this situation. Austin suffered evil for what he did towards Karmelo by putting his hands on him, and all of whatever he and his brother said to Karmelo that caused Karmelo to go into a fight or flight mode and have his hand in his bag, where he had a weapon, which happened to be a knife. And then once he gave Austin the warning, and then Austin did not heed the warning and put his hands on Karmelo again, whether he shoved him or whatever he did, he touched him again, pushed him again, shoved him again, or whatever, hit him again, or whatever it was, however it went down. Hopefully there is some video that shows everything from the eyewitnesses. And then Karmelo Anthony, he could have just, played like he was bluffing and really wasn't going to use a knife. But evidently he was really afraid, in terror, and was troubled, and didn't feel the need that he needed to really just be bluffing about touch me again and see what happens. He felt like that, no, this dude touched me again, I'm going to stab him. So now he's suffering for the evil that he did by stabbing Austin and causing Austin to transition from the earthly realm over into the spiritual realm. And hopefully Austin is, in heaven. But he died prematurely because he did not heed the warning of Karmelo Anthony, which is second to heeding the still small voice of the Holy Spirit that I'm sure was talking to him and telling him, I'm not going over there to mess with this young man that I see sitting over there. I'm not going to put my hands on this young man and cause harm to him. I'm not about to go over there being mean and nasty and bullying and telling him that he needs to move from underneath our school tent because he's another student who from another school. So yeah, the word. Every circumstance and situation that goes on in the earth, you can always come back to the holy scriptures of the Most High Yahuah and find out the answer to how the whole situation went down. Both of these young men suffered evil for their doing. Karmelo Anthony is suffering for the evil that he did by taking Austin Metcalf's life, and Austin suffered death for the evil that he did by coming over to Karmelo Anthony with evil intentions, with evilness, racism, white privilege, not being loving in his heart, and putting his hands on Karmelo Anthony. He suffered evil. Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And that's what he did to Austin, Satan, Hashatan, Diabolo. And this is what he did to the life of Karmelo Anthony. Whatever hopes and dreams that he had for sports, if he had hopes and dreams to be a professional runner, professional, track runner, or a professional athlete in football, or any profession. Yeah. Both of their lives affected. Both made decisions. Austin and Hunter made a bad decision. And then Karmelo made a bad decision. So both families are suffering, and both young men suffered. One died. One is not going to be able to live this situation down. Not if he's going to live and stay here in America, in this racist country. No. Him and his whole family would have to move out of the country after he gets out of jail. Because if he's not going to be an entrepreneur and do his own thing, yeah. Yeah, we live in America where, persons serve their time, do their time. Yeah. Can't even get a job. Can't even. Yeah. So we thank you, Abba Yah, for this day. We thank you for your holy word. We thank you for giving us this word to help us better understand the hearts and minds of all three of these young men, and how the dirty, nasty, stinky snake devil got involved in the hearts and minds of these young men to cause them to suffer the evil that they suffered through death and being arrested and having to go through court proceedings, having their families to go through court proceedings. Yes. And having to deal with bias, evil, prejudice, racist, whitey America, because both parties are not of the same ethnic group. And because this is a country that thrives on evil, that thrives on the division, that thrives on being mean and racist towards another group of people. This is why this is a huge big story, and throughout social media and throughout the major news networks who are part of causing the division, who are part of causing a one-sided narrative to try to affect the court case in the minds of the jurors who will be making the decision on this case against or either for Karmelo Anthony, based upon the law. Because there are laws that govern every circumstance and situation. I pray that the Most High Yahuah will have mercy on Karmelo Anthony in his court proceedings as it pertains to the law. And I pray for the Metcalf family, that you give them beauty for ashes and joy for mourning. And that all parties, the Karmelo Anthony family and the Austin and Hunter Metcalf family, you supply all of their needs according to your riches and glory by your Son, Yahuah Mashiach. May your glory be manifested in this court case, in this particular court case, in this particular situation. And I pray that these scriptures will get into the hands of those that are involved, so that they can see it from your point of view as a lesson to how we should be living and governing our lives, which should be according to your word, walking in love, walking in courteousness towards each other, not striving with other people without a cause when the other person has not done you harm. Not being so quick to take another person's life and pulling out a weapon to cause harm to someone else that could possibly take their lives. Because all circumstances and situations does not require deadly force. But everybody's different. Everybody thinks different. Everybody has a different mindset when they don't feel like they're going to come out of the situation alive or unhurt themselves. So we can't expect everybody to make the same choice of not pulling out some type of weapon when somebody that you don't even know, have never met before, is coming up to you and accosting you and saying all manners of evil things towards you and putting their hands on you. And you look like, and you know, or you feel like, or you become in terror, or you become troubled. You go into fight or flight mode. And you thinking is going to be either me or you. So there you go. We thank you, Abiyah, for your wisdom. We thank you that all the evidence, all the truth, all the facts will come out in this case so that the jurors will make a fair and loving and right and truthful and decision without racial prejudice, white privilege, bias in their hearts and minds as they deliberate against all of the evidence that will be presented to them. In your son Yahuah HaMashiach's name, we pray and believe it is done. So be it. Shalom. Till next time.